Welcome everyone. It's time for another episode of Old Roommates. Today on the show, we revisit Good Will Hunting. So how do you like them apples? We're about to begin.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Old Roommates, the only podcast that revisits pop culture through a middle-aged lens. This is Brian.
And this is Christina.
And I am clearing my throat. I feel like we just woke up.
I feel like we just woke up as well.
Christina slept over last night. Super
That's right.
Exciting times.
We missed our opportunity to do a drunk podcast.
I know. Why do we forget it every time?
I know. Someday.
But today we are revisiting Good Will Hunting, the Gus Van Sant directed film. It was released December 5th, 1997, which makes this movie almost 25 years old.
So bizarre.
Christina, we begin, as we always do, by talking about then. Please tell us the first time you saw Good Will Hunting.
So my first time seeing Good Will Hunting was with my now husband. And it was one of our first dates. I want to say it could have been like our second movie that we saw together. It was a rental. And it was one of those, it's safe enough, right? It was like safe enough to watch with like a new guy.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
No real sex scenes or anything like that. I figured it was phased. The other one was Pirates of the Caribbean. I think we saw Pirates of the Caribbean first. And then on our next date, we watched Good Will Hunting. Yeah. But I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was good. It was fun watching the Boston atmosphere. Yeah. I didn't really know much about either of these actors, Ben Affleck or Matt Damon.
But as a quick time check, though, because I'm trying to figure this out, because you met your husband around the time before I went to New York?
Yeah, I met him in 2003.
2003. So this movie had been out for 5 years. So it's
yes.
So I feel like they certainly Matt Damon and Ben Affleck were a little more famous by that point, because this really launched them.
Maybe I just never watched any of their stuff.
Okay.
Maybe that was what it was. But anyway.
Yeah.
I was not that familiar with them, basically. Yeah. I knew they were friends. Yeah. I knew that this movie they had basically written together. Like, I knew the back story. Yeah. So I thought that was kind of neat. And I enjoyed watching like the Boston scenery and all that fun stuff. I was excited for this movie. My main reason to watch this movie was I was excited to see a movie based in Boston with real, authentic Boston accents. Okay. Because one of the things that drive me crazy, I don't know if this happens to you, but whenever I watch a movie that's supposed to be based in Boston with actors who are not from Boston, everyone sounds like a Kennedy. Yes. That's what everyone thinks everybody in Boston sounds like, and it's not true. So I was excited to see a movie that had some real accents. I was a little bit disappointed in that aspect. A couple of them got it right. Okay. It was right.
Minnie Driver's Boston accent was terrible.
Terrible. No. Where does she think she's from? No, I didn't mind. Like, I really felt like Ben Affleck did not do a good Boston accent.
Oh my God, this is wild to me. This is a wild critique.
It's wild. Yeah. And the rest of them were fine. But all in all, I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was entertaining. I feel like I thought it was a little long back then. I never really watched it again, but I liked it enough. Yeah. So, what about you, Brian? What was your experience with Good Will Hunting?
I saw this movie. Please don't be jealous.
Oh boy.
I saw this movie at the theater. Yeah.
Wow. So fancy.
Listen, I don't know what to say about it, but I was in Texas at the time.
Oh my gosh, with Naomi.
Started a fight between me and I was with Naomi.
Naomi, who
friend,
was a guest
on the Breakfast Club episode. We were in Texas visiting our friends Sheila and Phil. You know Sheila and Phil.
Yes.
and they were working at this place called GameWorks or something.
Oh, I remember.
And our
that, yeah.
friend, another friend, I won't even say her name because we ended up having a little argument about it. I was also working there. They'd all migrated to Texas. We're all living in Massachusetts, working together. They
all
left.
happened.
Yeah. So one of a mutual friend that we all used to work with also moved to Texas to work there as well. And we, weirdly enough, it's so bizarre, but only Naomi and I would go to another state and go to the movies. We do that
right?
Anytime Naomi and I travel. We're
I'm surprised you didn't do it in Bermuda.
There was no movie theater. But it's we did that. We did that in Vegas. Let's go to the movies. I mean, it's what are you doing? It's we're
so
in another
funny.
state. So we saw Good Will Hunting, and I really didn't like it. I felt like I had just seen it all before. And I think that I felt like the tone was weird a few times. I found a lot of it very theater. Yes. I felt like Matt Damon was really playing for the cheap seats. And one of my favorite movies, as you know, is Ordinary People.
Yes.
And I love the therapy scenes in Ordinary People. And I felt that Good Will Hunting borrowed heavily from some of these conversations
sure.
that were in Ordinary People. So I just struggled with it. I didn't think Matt Damon was great in it at all. Mm-hmm. I thought he was, like I said, a little theater, a little fake, disingenuous. I also struggled with the accents, but more so Matt Damon's. It wouldn't be there, and then I know he'd go, "Take care." I'm like, yes. What? So I just struggled, and what happened was so people might be wondering, how do you fight over a movie like Good Will Hunting? I'll tell you. So I'd recently come out to my friends, and my friend, this mutual friend, said, I think I know why, get this. You don't even know. I think I know why you didn't like the movie. Oh my gosh, she's like, well, because you probably found Matt Damon attractive, but because you're new to those feelings, I swear, this is what this girl said to me.
My gosh.
And because you're new to those feelings, and get this, I was like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I think he's cute, so I didn't like the movie? That would be the opposite. I would be like, more Matt Damon!
Yes.
More Matt Damon! And get this, later on, Amy's like, Brian, she pulled me in the bathroom and said the same thing behind your back. I'm like, well, at least she said it to my face. Right? Oh my God. I'm like, what? That was the most you see, I'm telling you, come out, anyone that's gay, listening to this, gay, lesbian, trans, whatever, it's you really realize, your friends, in the perspectives they hold. Well, and how they look at you. They do look at you. Some do look at you differently.
Well, not only that, I would be pissed that she's not valuing your critique of a movie. Forget your sexual orientation. We have a goddamn podcast now. We know what we're talking about with movies.
My God in heaven. I was so livid, and I'm like, wait, how did this become this? The logic makes no sense. Yes, I was so conflicted with my sexuality. I liked Matt Damon.
Now I don't know what movies I like.
And now I don't like the movie. Yeah. Anyway,
there was a boy.
Livid. And also, may I remind you, I was on vacation. I didn't need that bullshit. So anyway,
that's bizarre.
So
that's
weird.
Just a weird thing to say.
and it haunts me. And into what you said, you have never seen the movie since. Right. Same. I've never watched it again.
Interesting.
Yeah, until the big experiment of old roommates. Yeah. We rewatched it recently through our middle. Christina, when did you
forcing us to relive bad memories every week?
Oh my God! This must have been the scene I found him so attractive. I just hated the movie.
Oh my gosh! And then was it last week that we revisited Dog Day Afternoon, and you had a similar, not a bad experience because you had never seen it before, but you were worried about watching this type of movie because before you saw it, you were nervous
shaky
about
trigger
watching
finger
it with the yeah. So here I am making you have bad feelings over and over and over again.
But you know what? This is part of it. It's I kind of like when we revisit movies I wasn't crazy about or didn't like, because this is what it's all about. It's this idea of was I just too young for it? Was it just my point of view is so different? Who knows?
It's helping us to stretch our minds and think a different way.
2 hours at a time.
Right.
This movie is 2 hours and 6 minutes, so let's dive into now.
Okay.
Christina, when did you rewatch Good Will Hunting?
So I rewatched it about a week ago, I would say. And I was honestly not super excited to watch this movie. For some reason, maybe it's the Robin Williams connection, but for some reason I always, when I think of Good Will Hunting, I also think of Dead Poets Society. I feel like they're similar, and I don't know why. Probably just the Robin Williams, but similar tones and things like that, I guess. There's a school. I don't know. I don't know what it is. But because we had such a terrible revisit of the Dead Poets Society that was painful, I was really nervous about watching this. I'm like, boy, this is going to be 2 hours of my life I don't get back, and I really need to sit down and pay attention, and I had a lot going on. It was a very busy couple weeks. So I wasn't really excited to watch it. So finally I said, this is it. I'm doing this. Put it on. Sat down. And maybe because I had such a negative feeling about it. And the other thing, too, was I hadn't seen it in so long. And I couldn't remember exactly why I never revisited it again. You know what I mean? It was one of those things like, there must be a reason why I never wanted to put it on again.
Yeah.
But I have to say, like, I think because I had such a negative feeling going in, I didn't hate it. I actually kind of liked it. Some of the scenes that I watched surprised me. They were surprisingly touching to me.
Okay.
I feel like it took a while for me to warm up to it. The first probably, 40 minutes or so, I was a little bit bored with, and I was just like, what are they doing? Like, who cares what they're doing? Like, they were trying to establish, like, a friendship that didn't need to be established. I feel like they could have done that in a very quick way, like maybe 10 minutes. Like, you didn't have to keep seeing them hanging around. You didn't have to keep, like, we know where he works. We know the situation. We don't need to be force-fed this.
Yeah.
But after the 40 minutes, I was actually a little bit more invested, and I liked it a lot more than I expected to. I do have a quick little story about Ben Affleck I have to mention.
Oh.
I went to trivia the other night.
Yeah.
And the woman who runs the trivia, her name is Jen Schultz.
Okay.
And it was like a kind of a break or whatever. She came down. There was a Ben Affleck question.
Oh.
And she's like, oh, I have this great story about Ben Affleck. So I'm like, oh, let me hear it. And she started talking about the filming of Good Will Hunting. They were filming in her neighborhood, and she wanted to be an extra. She met Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, and she said they were the nicest people. She's like, could not get over how down to earth they were. Super, super nice. They invited her with like all the craft services.
Nice, yeah.
She ate, like she was eating at this like table across from Matt Damon. She was really excited about Ben Affleck at the time. Like, she didn't really care that much about Matt Damon. She was
really
more
her
of
sexual orientation didn't push her to the brink like me.
It did not. It did not. But it was so. What made me laugh. So first of all, I was excited and so happy to hear that they were both so nice to her and so.
Yes.
Just a very genuine kind of people, and she just kept talking on and on and on about how wonderful they were. Super, super sweet. I was happy to hear that, but then it blew my mind. I'm like, I go, Jen, I have a podcast with my friend Brian, old roommates. We revisit pop culture, and we are revisiting it on Tuesday.
Yeah.
So it was but it was so bizarre. I'm like, I just watched this movie.
So wait, is she in it?
I don't believe she's actually.
You didn't ask that question.
I didn't ask that.
Christina.
No, I don't think she's in it. No, I think they ended up they had enough extras or something like that.
Oh,
so
damn.
She actually didn't end up making it. There was that scene when I think it's Matt Damon's in the phone booth and it's raining.
Yes, yeah.
She got to see that happening.
Oh, wow.
Where like they brought over like the rain machine over it. So
oh my gosh.
She just had a lot of really cool like behind the scenes stories about it. So I wanted to give her a shout out.
We should have brought her on.
Thank you. I know. If we had more time to plan, I would have. But Jen, thank you for listening. We really appreciate it, and thank you for the story.
That's awesome. I mean, a little bit of trivia too. The first day of shooting, they cried, Ben and Matt, because they couldn't believe it was all happening.
Oh my gosh.
And this took a long time to get to the screen because the studio was like, so the script originally started off as this like thriller about a genius, stealthy kid who is aggressively pursued by the government to work for them and he doesn't want to. And it gets more and more like, sinister with the government's plan to take this kid over. And then it changed and it changed and it changed because Rob Reiner, who was in charge of Castle Rock, said, you have 2 movies here. Let's just make one. And I like the stuff with the therapist and the kid, the genius kid. So let's focus on that and drop the government thriller stuff.
Right.
Which was a gamble, right?
Definitely.
Making a drama over a thriller, like, it's an interesting choice, but it worked out. But then they redid the script. I believe William Goldman from The Princess Bride read it over. And so then they polished up the script, Matt and Ben, and they shopped it around. And then they said, some of the studios were saying, like, well, this is great. We want Leonardo and Brad Pitt and the 2 buddy roles or one of them or whatever. And they're like, no, we want to be in this movie. And they're like, oh, God, no. And they said,
oh my gosh.
And so what they did is like it was some sort of, obviously it ended up being about money. So he got like, they would only do it for this amount if Matt was determined to star in it, and he stuck to his grounds. This movie was made for $10 million.
Okay.
It made $226 million.
Wow.
Yeah, and of course they won the Oscar for Best Screenplay.
Yes, and were they up for any other Oscars?
Matt Damon was up for Best Lead Actor. So Minnie Driver was up for Best Supporting Actress. I promise we're going to dive into the movie at some point.
Yeah.
But Best Picture, so it was 9 Oscar nominations. Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor for Matt Damon, Best Editing, Best Score, Best Original Song, Miss Misery by Elliot Smith, and supporting actress, and of course it won for Robin Williams for Best Supporting Actor.
Right.
Even though, interesting in the credits, he's first. Did you catch that?
That must have been some. Yeah, that must have been some sort.
Well, he's
of
the biggest name, because to your point, like when this was made, they were not.
Yeah, they weren't really much.
I mean, in Boston,
it
was
like
excited.
Minnie Driver wasn't.
Well, she had done.
She's done a couple. She was more
Circle
than
of Friends. I mean, remember Circle of Friends? What was that? 90.
Yeah.
Oh, God damn. Why do I even do... Why do I you know,
I
you do
92.
You start these things. Do you notice that?
I do.
Because you'll say something that I believe to be not quite correct, and then I try and correct you, but I don't have the actual facts, even though I know I'm right.
No, you know what? This podcast is two friends talking about a movie.
Right.
Okay? Everything
But
we
I don't
say
want to be wrong, Christina.
No, of course. And but if you don't know it for sure, then you say,
I don't know it for sure.
And people can look it up.
But you don't do that.
I do that a lot. I do. I say, I do that a lot. I say, I think that's true. I'll say something like that.
Sometimes.
I don't ever present a fact if I don't know it for sure.
Okay, so
anyway.
That was a lot of trivia. Usually I save that for the end. But so what happens? I guess I'll talk about now for me.
Yes, talk about now for you.
You did a spoiler. You did a spoiler because you said more. And we usually save that for the end. You said you liked it more. Well,
we're doing just a backwards episode today, aren't we?
It's too early.
It's too early.
It's way too early. So here's my I'll tell you this. I have very similar feelings. Like there were a lot of really good moments in this movie. A lot of stuff that I truly, and I'm not surprised I didn't remember it 25 years ago, but a lot of stuff that I was like, that was really done well. The acting's very strong. One thing, I think my biggest takeaway, and I'm really jumping around, is that Minnie Driver, Matt Damon relationship. I think they have really classic chemistry. When they're interacting, I don't know if this makes sense, I feel like I'm watching a movie from like the 50s or the 40s. Like there's something very classic, like movie, like you feel like you're watching movie stars in a way. Like when he says to her about or we could just hang out and eat a bunch of caramels, right? And she's like, caramels, like what? And it's the way it's shot, the way the dialogue plays off each other, and he says, well, it's as arbitrary as coffee. That I felt like I was watching two movie stars. And I definitely didn't feel that 25 years ago. I felt like it was too theater. Like it was too much. But now it's like, oh, that's actually really shot well. The dialogue is really feels authentic for these characters. Minnie Driver's fantastic, and Matt Damon's really, really great. I like their scenes. I actually think I like their scenes together probably more than him with, I would say, possibly even more with him than Robin Williams.
I agree with that, and I feel like it's the opposite of what I felt like before. I feel like when I watched it before, that relationship with her was like nothing to me.
Same.
Yeah, it was like, it didn't seem very major. I didn't understand why she was even there. This is about him and getting, moving out of the slums or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Why is she even here? Like, she's a distraction. Like, it was a nothing relationship to me back then. And I loved the relationship with he and Robin Williams back then. And this time around, I felt like their scenes, it was the opposite.
Yeah.
It really felt interesting. I agree, because Minnie Driver is such a gorgeous woman. She already has that star quality to her.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel like that with Matt Damon as much. But I loved their chemistry this time around. I loved their interactions. It did feel like real conversations and real getting to know each other kind of stuff.
1000%. And I talked about this on this podcast before. When you're watching a shit movie, when they do a montage over dialogue.
Yes.
And you don't have that here with the two of them. I mean, some of the conversations are completely ridiculous and juvenile, but it feels authentic because they're on a series of first dates. It's their first dates, and like even when they're in the little shop, the little diner or whatever, super cute. And then they're like, does she say to him, "I'm gonna kiss you," or
why don't we just get it over with?
Kiss now,
just kiss now and get it over with.
That's super cute, and.
Yeah, I love that scene.
Yeah, and there are some other. Oh God, I haven't even looked at my notes, but there's a lot of other scenes where they play off each other really well. It feels really organic. I'm going to jump again because I have some pluses where I love that. A couple things. I'm jumping. Shallow dives only. Of course. I love that he didn't show up to the airport. Yes. I love that. It felt real.
Yes.
Because it's much more realistic than every single other
movie. The plane.
Every single movie we've ever seen.
Where they run through security without being checked.
No problem at all. Yeah. And then I liked how she actually gets along with the friends. Any other movie would have been like, she would have been all hoity-toity suddenly, right? And she would have been like, oh my God, these people are crass and vulgar.
Right.
And they're not proper. And instead, she tells like a blowjob joke, and she's laughing at all of their stuff.
Yep.
And I was like, this is really smart, because it just would have created another unnecessary movie obstacle in their relationship. But instead, it's like, nope, she actually gets along great with them.
Yeah, I thought it was great too, and I also liked
which means he's the problem. Like, you know what I mean? Yes. So it's just it was smart for the movie to do that.
Yes, absolutely, and I love that scene with them, her and the friends, and it was fun. Like, it felt like they were all being real. Yeah, that's what I liked about that. I also liked her conversations with him about his alleged brothers. Yeah. And I liked that they didn't push it too far. She wasn't getting mad. She was just asking. And it felt like a real conversation between two people who don't really know each other very well. You don't want to call somebody a liar. You don't even want to think that they're lying to you. You have your suspicions that maybe he's not telling the truth about it. Right. But who are you to say he's not? Like, it wasn't, I think in another movie they'd be like, well, I don't think that you have brother. Like, it might have been spoken, but you could tell she felt like maybe he didn't, but she wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt. The other reason why it works is because it's like, it gives you a sense of time of how long they've been together. Because at one point she says, it's been 7 weeks, right? Something like that. It's been 7 weeks. I haven't met your brothers yet. Like, that, or seen where you live yet, even, right? So it's I mean, that's a month and like almost 2 months. I think I would be like, oh, you haven't had me over yet? Like, I've met a single of your brothers. Right. Like, you have 7 of them. So, or how many, whatever he had, but, or allegedly had. So, yeah, I agree. But I think it was a nice way for her, because it was like, they're still together and nothing's progressing. Right. Yeah. In that part of his life. So yeah, that was nice. I even liked when she first came up to him and called him an idiot because he didn't hit on her. Yeah. Like, I kind of liked that. I think I felt it was annoying when I first saw it. Yeah. But I thought it was cute. The way she's like, I'm tired. I want to go home, and you haven't hit on me yet, and you're an idiot.
What I liked was when he snuck into the dorm building, and she's like at her piano, and she's just like, she's kind of in her room, like doing what she's doing.
Yes.
And it's like the shortest little scene, but I'm like, I kind of really like that they showed that because they're just so natural and like. She's not all
and he hadn't called back.
Right.
He hadn't called back, and she's like, I thought you were going to call.
Yeah.
Like, kind of called him out on it, no pun intended.
Yeah.
I agree. It was cute. It was small, but it was cute.
They really are great together in this. So my first real note is, this is really petty, and I'm going to say it anyway. Okay. Matt Damon, Ben Affleck. Whether you take their first names or their last names, Ben Affleck is first, alphabetically.
Yes.
Okay? Matt Damon is the star of this movie. There's no other way to look at it. He's Will Hunting, okay?
His name is the
title. He is the titular character.
Watch your mouth.
But here's the thing. I know this is really petty of me. Christina, if you and I wrote a movie together.
Yes.
I think this is true. Tell me if I'm wrong.
You're
it's
wrong.
About... And it's about a middle-aged woman.
Yes.
Okay? And this big thriller. Okay? We write it together, the lead, and we're like, Christina, this is you. You'd be perfect for this.
Thank you.
Brian, you want me to be the star of this movie we wrote together? I think, if my hunch is right, that you would let my name be first on the screenplay credit. Since you're starring in the damn movie we wrote together. And this bothers me.
Yeah, that seems fair.
And it just stuck out like a sore thumb.
So, Matt Damon is listed first?
Yeah.
That's weird.
For screenplay.
Yeah.
Give Ben Affleck a shot. I mean, Ben Affleck's like, you're already starring in it, Matt. Like,
it doesn't make sense that he would be first.
No, not alphabetically. Not like, I don't know. Maybe, I'm not even going to go there. But it bothered me through my middle-aged lens.
Yes, I could see how it would be a bother.
Yeah, because they're like brothers. Remember that all that time? Mutt and Jeff, they were always hugging. They were in movies together, like at the Oscar. They were like best buds.
They were the best buds ever.
Give your best bud top billing on the screenplay. You're the star.
Yeah, who worked that deal
Give me a break.
Somebody's...
My second note is... Like, I'd spread my legs for that Tootsie Roll dick.
Oh, God.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, some of the
stuff was a little heavy-handed with the Boston accents and the Boston Southie stuff.
Yes, for sure. My first note is Ben Affleck's accent is as bad as his acting. Isn't that terrible?
That is terrible.
But I felt like he was overdoing it. I felt like if he was just himself, it would have been better. He was almost a caricature of himself. And it really stuck out because he was really the only one that was doing all that. I feel like between of all the four of them, he was always the one that was just, I don't know, saying things that didn't make sense. Or, I don't know, the accent bothered me more than anything. But he was just like, needed to be the star of the Friends or something. It just bothered me. I think it was the acting.
Well, I have to say, I respectfully disagree. I think Ben Affleck's character in this is arguably the smartest, separating the uncontrollable genius of Will Hunting. Okay,
yes.
So because he's doesn't get too wrapped up in the shenanigans of it all. Like, there are scenes where they're talking about this one can't keep a job, this one's jerking off into a catcher's mitt, this one's watching porn, this one's, keeps sleeping with these girls, and the girls never, whatever. So, and he's kind of the one that's like, he's a little sleepy-eyed, kind of rolling his eyes. He doesn't get super into it.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think it's a really great performance, and his accent didn't. There were a couple times where I was like, really over Boston enunciated that one, but it didn't bother me. I think Matt Damon struggles a bit. Sometimes there's no Boston accent at all, and other times he's saying things like
his accent bothered me too. I think it was a little bit more subtle. So maybe it didn't bother me as much because it wasn't quite as in your face.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, I think that's more what it was. Like, Matt Damon, like, it came, it went, am I supposed to be smart so I don't have an accent anymore? Like, I don't understand any of that
That's
stuff.
a good note. That's interesting.
Yeah. It seemed like he was struggling with keeping the accent and being, intelligent.
There are a couple times he says, take care. Take care. You take care now. Like, and I'm like, and I'm glad I had my subtitles on.
Does it say take
It says
C-A-A?
take care, yeah. But I will say this is funny. This is a middle-aged lens thing, of course, but like they call each other bitch a lot.
Yeah.
I don't remember, I mean, I'm sure someone will correct me on this. I don't remember seeing a thing like that in a movie where like the male characters call each other bitch. And that's like at one point someone says, you get canned more than tuna, bitch. And to me nowadays, it's like that's a very drag queen thing. Like all the drag queens call each other bitch. But yeah, I thought that was kind of funny through my middle-aged lens. My other note is, how clean does the floor need to be?
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God. And I would also argue Matt Damon has never cleaned a floor before.
Never.
It reminded me, have you ever seen the movie House of Sand and Fog with Jennifer Connelly and Ben Kingsley?
Yes.
The movie's excellent.
Yes.
She plays a housekeeper, and I just know she's never vacuumed in her life. Mm-hmm. The way she vacuums in that movie is equivalent to this.
Yeah.
He doesn't know how to mop.
Mm-hmm.
Am I wrong?
No, you're absolutely right.
He's like the worst mopper I've ever seen.
I noticed it too. I'm like,
very
who hired
awkward.
This guy?
Yeah, very awkward.
Unless
well, then I read. Right, good. Say it.
So unless it was not a job, but like a work release,
like the parole thing. But even still.
Yeah, you should still. You
should know how to mop
floor.
by the time you're 20.
Yeah.
At least how to handle a mop
or something.
I did write a lot of hostility for a double burger. Remember that scene? And I wrote lots of...
Oh, God, yeah.
Lots of F words and lots of the R word.
Yes, I noticed that also.
The slur for mentally challenged is what I'm talking about. A lot of that. And that is very much of the time.
Yes.
And very much a Boston Southie thing. I mean, growing up, that was a word you heard a lot.
Yes, absolutely.
Don't be so blank.
Yeah.
Or that's blank.
Even on the South Shore, you'd hear it all the time.
Friend of a friend.
That and gay, you'd hear. You're so gay.
Yeah,
You're so gay.
That's
like
gay. That's gay.
That was very common
so gay,
insult.
The R word.
One thing that surprised me...
But I'll tell you, it bothered me.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It
bothered me too.
I don't like hearing... Yeah,
it bothered me too. That happens a lot in some of these revisits. Yeah. Mostly 70s revisits, I realize. That it's a lot of, like, beaver talk and things like that.
Yeah.
But, it's just very... politically incorrect.
And I understand.
And it was just a sign of the times. It really
1,000%. Yeah.
Like it's glaring now.
Yeah, it is. It's very authentic, but now that has not aged well at all.
Right. I will say one of the things that surprised me a lot about this movie was how much I enjoyed Casey Affleck.
The alleged sexual assailant?
What? In real life?
There's alleged...
Never mind, I take it all back. No, I hadn't known that.
Yeah, there's a lot of alleged...
From this movie?
No.
Oh, okay.
Like later in his career, like alleged stuff of just him being, again, I'm saying alleged. Yeah, but of poor behavior with women.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, aside from that,
yeah.
I enjoyed his performance. I don't remember enjoying it that much last time. It was kind of a kid brother type of thing.
Yeah.
And now, I thought, first of all, his accent was flawless.
Yes.
I don't think he pretended to do it. I think that's how he talked.
It seemed very ad-libbed, his performance.
It was so good. And it reminded me, maybe it's because, and you have a lot of siblings as well, but the sibling relationship between him and Ben, obviously they're brothers in real life. Were they brothers in the movie? I can't remember. Or just friends. I don't remember. Yeah. But they definitely had a lot of that authentic back and forth, bickering, fighting type of thing. And I think even, when you're talking about the burger, all that drama and stuff, it felt like a real kind of just pushing each other's buttons.
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean? Like that. No, I'm going to leave this right here. I'm going to leave this burger on this dashboard. And then when you pay me your 6 cents, you know, like, and it's like, obviously he's going to give him the burger, but he knows how to push his buttons.
Yeah, yeah.
And it felt very ad-libbed, like you said. And it just felt like real fights. And that kind of was consistent throughout the movie.
Yeah.
This relationship between the two of them. And I enjoyed that. That's one of the times that Ben did not bother me that much because it felt a lot more real.
What I will say, and I agree with you to a point, I feel like those scenes went on a little too long, but also because I feel like they were trying to do like a Tarantino thing with like the organic conversation about ridiculous subjects. But when it really bothered me is like we're approaching the end of the movie and there's that whole long scene of this like felt very ad-libby about jerking off in someone else's house.
Oh, yes.
And that, I'm like, really? This is where you put this scene? Yeah. And I get it in the sense of, like, well, you know, life goes on. And he's trying, like, they're showing, like, this is how he's acting with his friends now that she's gone away and all this kind of stuff. And that life just kind of is like, you know, he's really seeing what his friends are like. And, like, that it's like, what's missing from this picture?
Like,
and what am I leaving? This is my life. This is never going to change. And I got it. And at the same time, I'm like, this scene's too long.
I felt that way about a lot of those scenes with his friends.
Yes,
it was just too long.
We got it.
Too much
we get
of it.
Yeah,
there were too many of the similar scenes. Where we're, you know, okay, I get what we're supposed to see here.
Right.
I get what you're trying to tell us. You didn't need to tell us that 5 times.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 times would have been fine. Maybe 3.
Yeah.
Maybe 2.5. But yeah, it was. The scenes were too long, and it was so much of the same stuff.
Yeah. Next note, I laughed out loud with George Plimpton when he's like, "No more shenanigans, no more tomfoolery, no more ballyhoo." Like, really? You're gonna say that to this kid? But I thought that was, I just loved it. I loved it.
So funny.
And then he's like, "I'm not taking this." Like, it was because he's so professional, and he like walks out of there and he's like, I can't help you.
I'm all done. Yeah, I'm all done.
I gave it 10 minutes. I'm fine.
Yeah. I don't get paid enough for this.
Yeah.
So, one thing that reminded me a lot of Dead Poet Society.
Please tell me.
When Robin Williams is telling him about the fart story. Okay. And Matt Damon laughed so hard. It was the most hilarious thing he's ever heard in his whole wide life.
And I thought he was being sarcastic. That's how much he was laughing. I'm like, oh shit, is he being sarcastic? I couldn't remember.
It reminded me so much of Dead Poet Society when all the boys are rolling in the aisles.
I just talked about this at Cocktail.
Yes.
Like, I feel like actors need to look at themselves in the mirror when they have a laughing scene when they're practicing, because you can look real effing phony. And Matt Damon in this scene, I have Christina, I have the same damn notes. It's like his face, loud, excited, laughing. I was like, it's
shaking.
It's
his
like
whole body was shaking.
He might as well be on stage and playing for the cheap seats, because it is so telegraphed and disingenuous that I honestly thought he was making fun of the Robin Williams character.
Yeah,
I really did. I was like, it's so over the top. It's not a great bit of laugh acting.
Yep. No, not at all.
Oh my God. So we introduced the Robin Williams character. Thank you for bringing that up.
Sure.
And so I liked a lot about it. There's some stuff that I just don't think is all that great because of what has been established so far. You're talking about the fart story. I'm going to jump to the big iconic scene that's on the poster, and it takes place in the Boston Public Garden.
Yeah.
And it's when they're sitting on a bench together, and the Robin Williams character talks about love. And I'm telling you this. Excuse me. That scene is often mentioned, like, it's like, you know, it's this iconic dialogue, sweet scene where he really wins Will over. And I'm telling you, everything we had seen up till then, to me, Will would have been like, fuck off.
Right.
Don't tell me about love. Like, you don't know me. Fuck off. Go fuck yourself.
Yes.
And probably would have punched him. Now, because, by the way, the professor that saw him mopping or at the chalkboard,
yes,
he said, excuse me. And Will says, fuck off. And walks away. Then you have this guy, this therapist, sitting on a bench with him, talking the longest blessed speech about love. And you mean tell me Will Punk Hunting, who truly jumped out of a car to beat someone up in a basketball court because the guy beat him up in grade school?
Yeah. Kindergarten. Like, hey, remember me from kindergarten?
This kid can't control his emotions, his reactions, or his mouth. You mean to tell me he's going to sit on a bench with this man being schooled on love?
Yeah,
no, it's not. That's not true. No. And it's really unfortunate because it's such a big scene, but I think it's bullshit.
Yeah, he should have had a different reaction. He should not have just been sitting there listening and, wow, you're so wise. It
didn't make sense for that character.
It didn't make any sense at all.
What was stronger is when Robin Williams says the thing about Oliver Twist. He's like, I know you're an orphan.
Yes.
And I don't know what being an orphan is like because I read Oliver Twist.
Yes, I love that.
That is more compelling. It's a more compelling argument.
And he can relate better to it.
That's much more understandable.
I mean, as far as we know, Will doesn't even know what love is.
That's right.
So how can he relate to a speech about love?
Well, so the doctor does say, you don't know loss. You don't know loss, not loss. Yeah, I'm wrong. Okay. You don't know loss till you've lost something more. You lost something more than you love yourself. You don't know loss until you've lost something you loved more than you loved yourself. Yeah.
I knew you'd get there.
Oh my God. But that's what I mean. I think that point was made. That's an earlier scene.
Yes.
And then there's the bench scene where I'm like, oh my God, this guy again with the wife.
Yeah, they were like, we need a clip for the Oscar submissions. Let's get a park bench in here.
You're 1,000% right.
Yeah.
That was for Robin Williams. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm not saying that's, by the way, I'm not saying it's bad acting. It's great.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's all believable.
It just didn't seem
It doesn't seem real. It's not all believable when you have the Will character.
I mean, maybe after he had his breakthrough or something. After
save that
they've
story.
had more of a relationship. Let's do it near the closer to the end of the movie.
And P.S. he strangled him. The doctor and Robin Williams' character, it's like, we watched a lot of these. We watched Prince of Tides, other movies with therapists in them. And, he strangled him.
Yes.
There's just, I don't know why Will allowed himself to be strangled. I mean, it's just those, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. It's like, I just don't know if Will, the character, would be behaving this way.
Agreed. That's one thing that I felt was missing a little bit in this movie, and I'm not complaining that it was missing, but I feel like they started to go there, and then they sort of dropped the ball, and that is the issues that Robin Williams has. I feel like they touched upon it. They basically hired this guy because he felt like he could relate to Will because he had a similar upbringing, right? Mm-hmm. But it's never really full-on addressed. There's not that point where I learned so much from you too, Matt. I mean, Will. It's like, I feel like they should have either left it out or did a little bit more.
You mean
with
because
Robin Williams.
Because they had similar...
Yes.
Well, you kind of see... It's funny.
Well, that's it. It's kind of.
Yeah. You wanted it more... clear, more spelled
maybe a
out.
little bit clearer, or some maybe conversation that I don't know. It just seemed like I was waiting for maybe one more scene.
Okay.
Before he's like, I think I'm gonna go start dating again. Okay, Good for you.
Well, he does, but he uses Will's words back to him.
Yes.
He's like, I'm gonna, whatever. I forget the
Yeah, I
exact
know.
dialogue. But yeah, but it's that. He does use the same dialogue back to Will, which is like the nod to say, like, I learned stuff from you too. But you're right. Like, did you want another crying moment?
No, I didn't. And like I said, I don't necessarily needed more of it. I wish they could have gone one way or another, though. Mm-hmm. Like, maybe not even have this as a give and take relationship. Maybe it was just a give relationship. Or, do you know what I mean? Like, but I feel like they touched upon the give and take, and they didn't do enough with it.
I hear you. I agree with you to a point.
I don't want the movie longer. Don't get me wrong. I don't need another.
No, I agree with you in the sense of, like, I could have done without. Please know more about your dead wife. Like, only because. Oh my God,
enough. Yeah.
Like, because it's like, whose hour is this? You know what I mean? Like, come on. Like, I mean, I get it and I don't get it. But, I see what you're saying. I agree with bits of what you're saying.
It might have been more effective if he didn't tell Will anything about his wife.
But he has to.
But Will heard about it from the other professor and threw it in his face during one of his... Do you know what I mean? Like, some sort of interaction that way where, okay, now we see that the Robin Williams character, what's his name?
Is vulnerable.
What's his name? But he's, damaged, right? Damaged from this and a little bit guarded, just like Will is damaged and guarded. Like, get that kind of out there, but maybe have Will throw that information at him.
Like, to weaponize that.
Yeah. And then it comes out. So, okay, here we are. There's a little bit more. This is Will helping him get over this damaged part of his life and not being able to move forward and things like that. Like, it was just a little bit more. Like, I felt like, I don't know. I just felt like it was just something lacking in there. Mm-hmm. Let me be clear, though. I did enjoy their relationship. Mm-hmm. I will say I did enjoy their relationship for the most part, but like the bench scene, not great. Mm-hmm. I liked how he interacted with Will in that he didn't say anything for a while. Mm-hmm. Like, he had like these silent conversations, and then Will just started kind of talking. I thought that was somewhat realistic. In just where he's coming from, it had to be on his terms.
Well, and he knows that that's the selfie attitude.
Yes,
like he knew. Like, ultimately, he was right. And the doctor, Robin Williams' character, I didn't write his name down either. What the hell's his name?
Sean.
Like, Sean was ultimately right. Like, yes. I mean, like, all of that, like, where they're not speaking, he lets him go first, and all this kind of stuff, and but it worked. It was effective.
And I really enjoyed that last scene with them when. Like, it actually surprised me how touched I was. Maybe I was tired. Maybe, I don't know what was happening, but I was feeling vulnerable. Mm-hmm. But when he was, yelling, "It's not your fault, it's not your fault," that big scene, mm-hmm. I can tell you didn't enjoy that. But yeah. I was really kind of touched by that. I did feel a little emotion there.
What got me was the picture. And I'm telling you, I just got goosebumps again. I forgot about that. I forgot that they showed the picture of when he was beaten with the wrench.
Yeah.
And he said, oh, my stepfather would lay out 3 weapons or 3 things, and I would always pick the wrench. She's like, why? He's like, because fuck him. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, this kid. But then I imagine, like, being beaten with a fucking wrench. How are you not dead?
I know.
So, but then they show the picture of him, the bruises, and it's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But what bothered me then, and I'm gonna be honest, it bothers me a little now still, is like, it is very similar to Ordinary People. If you remember, the whole thing is like is that on Ordinary People, Conrad feels guilt because the boat tipped over and he held on and the brother didn't.
Yes.
And he's like, and it was essentially very similar.
Yes.
And it was the repetition of like, it's okay. You held on. Did it ever occur to you were stronger than him? I can't feel this way. And it's like, it's okay. And the everything, the pattern of the dialogue, the repetition, the hug, the crying, the breakdown. I'm like, this is a ripoff of that scene in Ordinary People, and it's unfortunate because it is the big moment of Good Will Hunting.
Yes, and I think if you think about if you had not seen Ordinary People,
amazing.
Think you would have really enjoyed that scene. So
yeah,
I agree because we did a revisit of Ordinary People.
This is what happens when you're old. You see a lot of movies.
Yes. But it's unfortunate that you had to like have that first, and so you couldn't really appreciate the new
and listen,
revised movie.
Listen, and I'm sure this shit happens in therapist office all over the country. I'm sure it does. These breakthrough moments, the breakthrough. But I just wish it was
just maybe a bit different.
A little different than one of the most famous movies that introduced therapy to mass audiences like Ordinary People. But about that, I do, and I want to be clear. I think the acting, Matt Damon's acting in that scene is great, is strong. Robin Williams acting strong. The bench scene, Robin Williams acting is strong. I just don't know if I bought it for these characters. The acting's great. I don't know if the characters would behave that way. At the same time, with that ending, again, the bruises, that dialogue of the being beaten, like that sends a chill.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I loved the fight. This is like a previous note. I loved the fight between Minnie and Matt.
I almost rewound it and watched it again because I don't even know how long that scene is. But wow, does it go from 0 to 60? And what I liked is that is a goodwill scene.
Yes.
That is how he would fucking act.
Yes.
He's a total punk. He's not going to be held down by love.
Right.
And this girl who assumes, like, you know, it's like, yeah, all my fucking friends are here. Like, you know, who do you think you are? You know, and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So
the big panic, the wall comes up, the nope, I don't love you.
Well, because she says,
if
just tell me if you don't love me.
Yeah.
Oh my God, my heart.
I don't love you.
My heart.
Straight as an arrow, just no emotion. I don't love you. And he walks out and she just busts down. And I loved that. I really thought, I'm getting a little bit of chills right now. Just thinking about
the actor is
very good
so good. And the timing is right. And the characters are right.
It's so true to the characters.
She's been saying all they're doing is repeating themselves, right? Because it's like, she has said, this money, she's like, if I could have my dad back, I would get my dad back. I didn't control how he left me this money. And she's like, it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
And that is her through line the whole way through. And his thing is like, you know, it's like the second it gets real, he gets scared.
Yes.
And it's done really, really well. And that scene, and it's a million emotions in probably 90 seconds.
Yes.
Right? Maybe 2 minutes. That
might have been my favorite scene in the whole movie, honestly.
It's really good. That was the scene. Good. I remember this, actually. That was the scene they used for Minnie Driver at the Oscars.
Oh, good for her.
When she's talking about the money. Will's 20. Did that surprise you or no?
I guess I didn't really think about it.
They kept talking about him drinking. Because I was like, oh, he's drinking.
Well, I knew he was, like, college age.
Yeah.
Right? I knew he was supposed to be with these guys in college.
Yeah.
Like, so I guess I didn't really think about it in terms of numbers, but that would make sense for him to be 20.
Right, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, but I did love, so you're legally allowed to drink, so we figured the best thing for you is to buy a car. That was one of my favorite lines in the whole movie. What I
loved about that is that car is so bad.
Oh my God!
I mean,
but
that was real.
It was exactly the kind of car that they could afford to pull together. You know, it's like a bunch of crap they push together, but it's a car. Yeah. It's a car.
So my note again here is Ben Affleck is great, but really, the best part of his day are the 10 seconds he waits outside Will's house hoping he doesn't show up.
So I have a note about
bullshit.
that. Yes. Yeah. I said he wants him to just leave without a goodbye. Why? Because it would make a great movie ending. That's why.
I was drinking my coffee.
I should have waited before you took a sip.
Yeah.
But that's the only reason why.
And the hits keep coming with that scene because then you see Ben Affleck's face, and that's the worst of his acting in this, where his face really is like, hey, yeah, hey, Yeah.
He ain't here.
He ain't here.
Oh my God, an idiot.
And he like raises his shoulders, like it's in that again. Like I'm saying this right. I like this so much more than I did 25 years ago. So much more.
Same.
But you know, it's like when it starts feeling like a movie is when it loses so much of what it was before. It's like the street smart, authentic, you know, dialogue, roughness, and then it's like you have a tacked on scene, like him going up to the door, and I don't even understand it. Christina, if would you ever say that to a friend? Even if you're like, oh, my friend has so much potential, I kind of hope they don't even answer the door next time I show up.
Yeah, just leave.
Just leave.
Don't say goodbye.
They've
Fuck all
been,
these years of friendship.
I mean, it
doesn't make any sense at all.
None of that. It doesn't make sense for him to...
Not a bit. Not a bit.
That
character would not think that way or say those words. It just wouldn't happen.
No.
Matt would not leave without saying goodbye.
You're sitting on a fucking lottery ticket. It's like, that's great. Be supportive, but don't throw him away.
Yeah.
He needs a support system, even if he's quote unquote successful and leaves the state. Like, he's still gonna need friends.
Right. It's not like he's never coming back again.
No sense. And what does that say about you?
Do you not have a phone?
Do you not have a fucking ounce of self-esteem? Like, you're saying you're such a piece of shit, you hope your friend leaves you and never looks back?
Like, don't look at me ever again, or you're gonna fail in your life. So stupid.
Don't be a fucking failure.
Love it. I did miss one of the lines that wasn't one of my favorite. Morgan, which was Casey.
Yeah, okay.
Right? So Ben's character, what's this? I don't know, it doesn't matter. He goes, when they were buying in the car, he goes, Morgan wanted to buy you a T-Pass. And he's like, that's not what I was saying.
Yeah.
So you know that there was a conversation where it was like, yeah, get him a T-Pass. That was so funny to me. But I will say about the tea, there's this whole scene of him in the tea riding around Boston.
Yeah.
Never looked so good. I've never seen a tea look so clean in my entire life. They must have rented out a whole new fleet. Unbelievable.
Another plus I have is as much as the Ben Affleck stuff was bullshit with like the no goodbye thing, I actually appreciated the fact that there was no you had the final scene of the therapy scene, but there's no real like mushy goodbyes.
Love it.
No one has a mushy goodbye in this.
No, that's fantastic.
And I like that. And I like that we didn't see him show up in California. I like that we just see him driving. And you know what's going to happen, but it's like,
yes.
But I like that it wasn't a completely tacked on happy ending.
But you know what I'm curious about here?
Tell me.
Okay, so there's a little bit of a red tape here.
Oh?
Well, not red tape. I don't know if that's... There's a little bit of a problem here.
Oh, tell me.
So...
That the car's never going to make it?
Well, that's one thing. No, but he cut ties with Lambo, the professor, right? He doesn't talk to him anymore.
Yeah.
So how is he going to get a job? How is he going to get a job in California? He has no education. He has no contacts to help with him. So he's just going to show up somewhere and be like, yo, I'm a genius. Hire me. Like, he needs that professor to get those interviews.
Does he even want to do that?
I know, he probably doesn't even want to. He's probably going to work.
He's going to do like a blue collar thing. Because, and also you have that support system of Skylar, Minnie Driver, saying, that's not important to me.
If she takes him back.
And you...
After all that bullshit.
Oh my God.
I'm going to go see about a girl. Okay. See if she's still available.
Oh my God.
Oh, and the other thing about the job, which I thought was interesting, he gets this interview with the government, right? That whole thing that Ben Affleck shows up to, which is like the most ridiculous scene I've ever seen in my life. I couldn't stand it. But
that was just some comic relief.
Yeah, it was, well, supposed to be.
You really didn't like Ben Affleck.
I did not like this character at all. But, so he has these set up for the NSA, which is a government agency. Is the government agency not concerned at all about his criminal record? This guy has a rap sheet the size of Cleveland, apparently. Yeah. He is on parole.
Assault.
He has all these assaults. Yep. And the only reason why he's even out, he should be in jail right now.
Yeah, that's right.
So now the government's going to be like, that's okay, let's hire him.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
It doesn't.
No.
Let's see, really quick. Let's see.
I don't think I have any more notes.
I have like one last note. He only really has like 2 shirts. Never noticed that. No.
That's pretty good, though.
That's great.
That's good.
That's great. I didn't notice that 25 years ago. I noticed it now, and I appreciated that bit of authenticity. I have a couple bits of trivia before we get into our match game questions. Really quick, the score is by Danny Elfman, who also did To Die For, which is the Gus Van Sant film.
Also a revisit.
Another revisit we've done.
We've done them all.
We've done them all. And then Matt Damon auditioned for the Joaquin Phoenix role in To Die For.
Oh, wow.
And I am so glad he didn't get it.
Oh, yes.
He's not weird enough.
Matt Damon is not weird enough. He's too pretty.
Yeah. Matt Damon regrets his hairstyle in Good Will Hunting.
I don't blame him.
He said I look like a member of Color Me Bad.
Definitely.
And let's see. That is all my notes. So I think we already said it a million times, but way more. I enjoyed this movie so much more through my middle-aged lens than I did in 1997.
Me too.
We should talk before match game.
Yes, we should talk about Patreon.
Yes. So, a million years ago, we were at this Boston bar called the Big Easy. And who was there but Mr. Benjamin Affleck? Mm-hmm. Now, many years have gone by. We've talked briefly about this situation before.
Yes, we
have.
But
for our Patreon bonus content this week, we're going to take a deeper dive. But we're going to do something a little different. Because we're middle-aged, we want to see how good our memories are. Mm-hmm. So we're going to do a he said, she said about that night.
That sounds amazing. Yes, it's going to be
really
funny.
When Christina met Ben, we'll call it. But yeah, so check out Patreon for that. And if you are curious, join Patreon.
Yeah, just
and get
check
it. There's so much stuff on there, you guys.
It's so much. So patreon.com/oldroommates is how you get there.
All right, are we ready for match game?
Yes, we are. Do you want to go first?
Yeah. Christina.
Yes.
Well, you don't even know what ultimately happens with Will and Skylar.
No, you don't.
They move back to England.
Oh my gosh.
Where Skylar's from. But Will's tough talk doesn't quite work across the pond. Mm-hmm. For example, instead of, how do you like them apples? In England, he has to say, how do you like them blank? Oh, shit. I think that was very fast. I think my word's too long.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to write it back up, although I know it's cheating, but I'm going to write it back up.
Okay.
Okay, Christina. Instead of, how do you like them apples? In England, Will says, how do you like them?
Scones. And I say scones because I recently went to a tea place and realized I've been saying scones my whole life.
Me too.
But it's pronounced scones. So how do you like those scones?
Nice, that's good. Mine is wrong. That was my backup. I put, how do you like them crumpets?
Oh, that's good.
It just sounds rougher. It sounds a little tougher.
It is, yeah. I can't. How do you say scone in a Boston
How do you like
accent?
them scones? How do you like them scones? No one would even know it.
It's like, what is that? What is he saying?
Oh my God.
He's going somewhere?
I think I went to London for my 40th birthday. I don't think I had a single scone.
Oh.
Lots
we
of
went to this
croissants.
place. It's in Plymouth, Massachusetts.
Nice.
And they have high tea. I went for my birthday. And it's people from London who opened this place up. So it's pretty authentic.
Nice.
And yeah, it was really cool. They have like all this tea and different scones and finger sandwiches.
What's the name of the place?
It's called Shelley's Tea House.
Shelley's Tea House.
In Plymouth. We are not getting any kind of sponsorship money. But hey, Shelley, you want to...
It sounds fun. I might check it out.
Send us over some scones.
I like when it's authentic.
It was delicious.
The authentic people.
It was awesome. Yeah. Very,
like
very nice.
Epcot's that way.
Yes.
Which it was just like Epcot.
It was. So I have a match game.
Can't wait.
Okay. Will Hunting is so smart.
How smart is he?
He's so smart that even blank calls him for advice. Ding. Okay.
I like this one.
Thank you. I thought you would. I know you like the simple.
Well, it's not simple,
no,
but there's a
fine,
chance. I have a chance. I have a
Look
chance
at how
in hell.
excited you are.
All right.
He's so smart that even blank asks him for advice.
Elon Musk.
Good one. I said Yoda.
Oh my God.
So not a match,
good.
but still very good answers. Nice. And you said your second answer was scones.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's like a half match.
Yeah, half match.
All right, so Good Will Hunting. And that's it for this episode of Old Roommates. Thank you for listening. For bonus content, please visit us at patreon.com/oldroommates.
And follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, @oldroommates. Thanks for listening. Until next time.